We got a brand new order coming out of Judge Curry in South Carolina that should keep Lindsey Halligan, the Department of Justice, and Donald Trump up at night, because that's the judge that's presiding over whether Lindsey Halligan is going to remain as the U.S. Attorney on the Eastern District of Virginia, whether she's going to be the prosecutor of the concerning the indictments of James Comey, the FBI director, and Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, or is she going to get bounced? And therefore, these indictments get dismissed. It's all going to be decided by Judge Cameron McGowan Curry, and her first order spells disaster for Lindsey Halligan, although it's less than a page long. You're here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. Let me update you on what's happening. Yet another scandal involving Lindsey Halligan. We already had the second chapter of Signal Gate, where Lindsey Halligan communicated on the record with a reporter in Anna Bauer about the Letitia James case while she's the lead prosecutor. Already bad, has required a little bit of a mea culpa in a new filing by the Lindsey Halligan side. But now we've got the new order from Judge Curry. Let me read it to you and tell you why this is such a big deal. The undersigned has been appointed to hear this motion and finds it necessary to determine the extent of the indictment signers, that's Lindsey Halligan's, involvement in the grand jury proceedings. Accordingly, the government is directed to submit no later than Monday, November 3, 2025 at 5 p.m. for an in-camera review, meaning the judge is going to review it herself, all documents relating to the indictment signers' participation in the grand jury proceedings. She's not even calling Lindsey Halligan the interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. She's reduced to the indictment signer, along with complete grand jury transcripts. In-camera review is appropriate given the secrecy requirements applicable in grand jury proceedings. Meaning, I would normally have these things filed on the docket for everyone to see, but I got to protect the secrecy of the grand jury. Signed, Cameron McGowan Curry. She's a senior status judge, South Carolina, appointed by Bill Clinton. And let me tell you why it matters. While you're here, hit the free subscribe button. Come over to Legal AF YouTube, do the exact same thing. The argument is that under 28 U.S.C. Section 546, the Vacancy Reform Act, that that the only body of people that can now pick the next U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia are the judges of the Eastern District of Virginia, because Pam Bondi already put in one interim U.S. attorney already, and Donald Trump fired that person. That was Eric Siebert, a conservative Republican who would not bring false charges against Letitia James and James Comey, and was fired as a result. That's it, single-use ticket. You don't get to pick another. So then they picked Lindsey Halligan. Too late. Now it goes under the Vacancy Reform Act to the judges of Eastern District of Virginia. That puts them in conflict with Lindsey Halligan, so it was assigned to Cameron Curry, Judge Curry. Now, it's a straight statutory analysis. The only reason I believe that Judge Curry wants to see what the indictment signer, Lindsey Halligan's participation was, has to do with the remedy. I think you don't need this information, this really jaw-dropping information to be requested by a judge. Let me see what she did in the grand jury to determine whether she should be bounced as the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. That's just a statutory analysis of the language of the statute and the history behind it. That's it. But if the remedy, which is what they're seeking to have the indictment dismissed, and if the indictment is not dismissed, to at least have Lindsey Halligan barred from prosecuting any cases in the Eastern District of Virginia. So she wants to see, she's seen media reports, the judge, about Lindsey Halligan's involvement, but she hasn't, really seen it for herself with her own two eyes, which is what the transcript's going to say. We know from reporting that Lindsey Halligan, we believe, went in there alone. But for all we know, she went in, but then she turned it over to somebody else, maybe Meg Cleary, or maybe another Department of Justice from Main Justice in Washington came down. We don't know. because nobody's in the jury room. We see people march in, we see people march out, but because of the secrecy around it, the judge is trying to get to the bottom of the secrecy to see what Lindsey Halligan's role was.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popok's new law firm. It's called the Popok Firm. Michael Popok's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas, Mighty, and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popok with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popok was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popok Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popok's firm is free. Give him a call, see if you have a case. It's thepopokfirm.com, thepopokfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popok a call, and I'm really proud of you, Popok. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in.
Now, I believe she's going to find that Lindsey Halligan's role was to present this case to the grand jury, therefore making it all radioactive. So when the judge fashions her remedy, if she finds a 546 violation, she's going to kick the indictment and or grant the further relief. Has to do with when you file a motion. Let me speak to you as a practicing trial lawyer. When you file a motion in federal court, and what judges want to hear pretty much up front is, why are you here and what do you want? When I train lawyers about presenting arguments in court, I tell them, picture an impatient judge that wants to get to while you're there in a very limited amount of time. Why are you here, counselor, and what do you want? If you're 3 or 4 minutes into your argument and they don't know that, you failed as an advocate. So the judge knows that in the motion that's been filed, the motion to disqualify and declare that Lindsey Halligan is illegally appointed, in both the Comey motion and in the Letitia James motion, which have been consolidated and joined together in front of Judge Curry, both sides are asking for virtually the same thing: to bounce Lindsey Halligan, since she only did it herself. She did not have another lawyer sign the indictment with her. Therefore, it is void ab initio, meaning it is voided and the indictment should be bounced. And Lindsey Halligan should be removed. So I really think this paragraph goes to the remedy being sought. But it's terrible news for Lindsey Halligan that the judge wants to get under the hood of the grand jury proceedings to see what the indictment signer's participation was. And how do I know that Lindsey Halligan is the only one? Because when you look at the indictment for Letitia James, when you look at the indictment for James Comey, she's the only one that signs on behalf of the government. Lindsey Halligan, U.S. attorney. That's it. So that alone, I mean, she also, as we reported earlier, Lindsey Halligan had some problems with her first indictment, which was of James Comey, because she actually had 2 indictments. They were not identical, and they were both sort of signed by the grand jury, which was a problem for the magistrate judge about, I've never seen this before. Why did you sign both indictments when only one is valid? Because they did not indict on all of the counts. They did not return a true bill of indictment on all of the counts that were originally sought. The other way I know that Lindsey Halligan is the only one on this case, if you will, is because she keeps signing papers as the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. I mean, she's been joined by some other lawyers outside of the Eastern District of Virginia because no career prosecutor there wants to work with her. Can you imagine that? She heads an office where no career prosecutors want to work with her. She has to go to Missouri to get another U.S. attorney to join her for Letitia James. She has to go to North Carolina to get another pair of lawyers against Comey. That's how bad it is. But this, and I'm going to post this in Legal AF Substack, this new order, which I'm sure the Department of Justice is going to try to oppose, is going to rock their world. I'll continue to follow it all right here. You're on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. Slide over to Legal AF Substack. Become a paid member. Our First Amendment rights are under attack just along with yours. So if you want to support us, keep us on the air, support our reporting and commentary, our honest commentary, hit the paid subscribe button, $6.77 a month. That's what keeps everything rolling here in Legal AF ecosystem. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.